Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. As you can see, it is a market watch video this week. I am so sorry, it has been quite a while since I've actually been able to do one of these. I've been very busy with exam season, and then I wanted to wait until prices stabilized a little bit because pre-release prices were all kind of wacky. So anyway, I will be finally talking about this, but a couple of announcements very quickly. Firstly, if you are not aware, I make competitively focused content on my Patreon. Recently, I put up a guide to Kinemon on that Patreon, in the same vein as my guide to Kid in OP2. In OP1, this was a guide to Kinemon in OP2. So you'll probably see a thumbnail here. And one of my patrons, Josh Pollux, actually came top 8 in the in his championship online event using that guide. He said that was helpful to him, so I am very happy that he was able to do that. I'm really excited for him, and of course if you would like to, I'm also using the opportunity to shill so obviously if that was useful for him, and hopefully it'll be useful for you too, so please do check out that Patreon. It's a fairly nominal fee, I think, for what you're getting on there. I've got a Whitebeard guide scheduled to be coming out next, and then I will be looking at doing things like Ivankov, Zorro, Smoker, and so on. Anyway, that is enough shilling. I wanted to get that out of the way first. Let's go ahead and jump into the actual video. So, things are a little bit crazy right now. Everything is out of stock. No one can get anything anywhere. Now, I understand that OP2 think the situation will improve. There is a restock coming in April. This was put out on the official Bandai channels, so that is confirmed. But as you can see here on the sealed product thing, everything is out of stock. There is literally nothing. We have market prices, but as you can see, as we continue to go through, there is absolutely nothing available anywhere. Now, this is not the situation in Europe. In Europe, it is obviously a little bit better. Our prices are a bit lower, and you can actually buy some of these things, but, you know, no case is available whatsoever. You know, if I clear the filters, it shows me, it says those things, but, like, I mean, that's, you know, nonsense. It claims, like, I mean, this is a real issue. There is no product anywhere. Hopefully this will be rectified sooner rather than later, and it seems like from the base rarity prices, this is actually not an issue in terms of singles, but I do know that people love opening their sealed product, and of course it should be, you know, encouraged that there is lots of sealed product out there, because I would like to get my alt arts for free, for cheap. So yeah, this is quite wild. If we move over now to promo cards, we can see that the situation is also very interesting. Lots of sold out stuff here. There are no winner pre-release Luffys on the market whatsoever. I'm not surprised that there's no serial Luffys on the market. Those are quite rare, but the fact there's no of these winner, I mean, they must have been going. This winner Smoker sitting at about $73. This had quite a tumultuous run. It peaked at about 250, I believe. Just pulling up this price chart here, you can see at its absolute peak, it was $255, and then it crashed very quickly as more and more entered the market. Personally, I'll grab them here. I've got two, so I will be holding on to these until the market price recovers somewhat. But yeah. You can see here, like, all these promos just out of stock. The only ones with any real availability are ones that just aren't needed for any competitive decks whatsoever, aren't super hype. You know, Black Maria, not the most amount of play, but you'll see a little bit. These winner Dons out of stock everywhere. It's insane. It's insane, the situation we are in right now. If we move to Romance Dawn Set 1, and we have a look at the prices here, though, things have decreased, which is actually quite good. These alt art prices have, on the whole, gone down. Nami, of course, is very high at $200, but we knew this was going to happen. But here is something that I was expecting for quite some time. Finally, these rares that are incredibly good and see play everywhere are actually starting to get sold out. I am expecting Nami to climb in price until we get a nice, we need to get an injection of more rares into the market, but otherwise we are going to start seeing an issue. We can see right here, like, loads of listings available for all these cards, but the really hype one, you know, Okiku, staple. Momonosuke, staple. Nami, staple. You play these at 4 in every single deck that is seeing competitive play of this color, outside of the Whitebeard variant. This is pretty nuts. If we move on to the super rares, we can see here, again, alt art prices beginning to go down. much more affordable. I think these are very reasonable prices on the whole. Actually quite glad that I kept my playset of alt art bows, because it's looking like she's going to have some stonks in set 4. But we can see here, you know, Zoro still at about $30, Law at about 15, but then otherwise, you know, super rare listings, very, very reasonable. And that is the saving grace. Of course, yes, there's a bit of difficulty getting these rares. I'm sure if you were able to meet people at locals or like find some other TCG websites outside of TCG Player, you will be able to find these rares. But, you know, the super rares, very, very available, very, very cheap, which is good outside of a couple of exceptions. And Zoro is not surprising. You play this in literally everything. It's been about this price for months, so this makes sense. Law, of course, decreasing in price a bit as it's seeing less players share of the format. If we look at the leaders, Alt Zoro at about $200, this is unsurprising. Alt Law at about $150. Doffy still high at about $95. I think this is just because there is a lot of hype for Doffy in the United States. And then there's just a general kind of holding of price in OP1, leaders remaining very, very cheap. Finally, with the secret rares, Manga Shanks chilling at about $900. Yamato at about $36. This is because it sees play in Kinemon. The Alt Yamato climbing in price to a nice $120. I got a couple of these, which I'm planning on getting rid of, so that's obviously good news for me, seeing as the absolute beating my wallet took with the max rarity black deck I put together for this set. Speaking of this set, let's take a look at the inaugural Paramount War prices. So, of course, this I'm contextualizing this. This is now after release, after the market's been able to stabilize. I think it's like, you know, there's so much volatility during a pre-release season and everything. Unless you really want something, it's better to just hold it out, wait till after release weekend, prices kind of stabilize, and then you know what's decent and you can pick stuff up. So, starting with the rares, and this is what's really crazy, and what we're actually going to be seeing is black is gone. There is nothing. There is not a single black alt art on the market that is not a Kuzan or I think a Zephyr. That is it. You know, these secret rare, these alt art prices, though, quite reasonable. $50 for Marco, you know, it is the hype rare of this set, and it sees incredible amounts of play. Of course, Whitebeard taking a bit of a hit in Japan, thanks to that ban, which we will probably, on Moby Dick, which we will probably see when set 3 releases here, but until then, very, very good. Vista at $2, finally people actually putting some respect on some rares, but generally, these prices kind of make sense. Buggy at about 30, Luffy at about 20. These are all making pretty good sense. If we move on to the super rares, we can see Manga Ace, $920, Whitebeard character at about $100, and then, as I said, Kuzan, Borsalino, Sakazuki, gone. Nothing. There are none available on the market, which is very much making it a seller's market, right? Like, yeah, okay, it says the market price is about $60, $70. I picked mine up at significantly less. They are quite available in the UK, but I think we are going to, you know, it is very dry right now. And I would say, considering we have basically confirmation of a restock coming in April at some point, I would be looking to move any alt arts you think are a bit overpriced in the next couple of weeks. Odin at about $50, Ace at about $50, I think these are fair, Nami at about 40. Interestingly, Luffy here completely sold out, and I think this makes sense because there's the combined fact of this is an amazing card in Ivankov, it's generally quite good in blue, and we just saw a set 4 leader get spoiled where this guy is absolutely broken. So I think this is unsurprising. Magellan chilling at about $20, but again, things are not that bad. If we look at the SR prices, yes, Whitebeard is about $20. He is the best SR in the set in terms of price. But then if we look here, you know, at about $10 to $12, Kuzan, Odin, Borsalino, Sakazuki, very reasonable pricing, a little bit higher than OP1, but it's been a very long time since OP1 came out. All these super rare prices really very, very reasonable. I don't think anyone could look at these prices and say that the game is not quite affordable. I mean, you know, your most expensive deck is probably black, and that's just because you need 4 copies of each Admiral. And yeah, that sucks a bit, but it's still going to be like $150 to get everything, including the 2 starters, which is, I think, very affordable. Kinemon, best deck in the format. Assuming you already had starter decks, it's like $50, which is crazy. But of course, you know, the starter decks is the real issue there, and that is the biggest gripe with availability of this game. As long as once we get more starters actually into rotation, this is going to become such an easy game to convince people to play, but it is very difficult at the moment. Then we look at the leaders, and this is wild. So $200 on Whitebeard. I don't think this price is going to hold. Yes, people are hyped about Whitebeard right now, but it is significantly worse going into OP3 with the Moby Dick ban. Ace is probably going to be better on the whole, and I would expect to see this price crash, but I think people just have price memory from how expensive it was for the last few weeks, so it's going to take a little while, and OP3 is, not till June, the end of June, start of July, so it's a bit of a ways off. But Smoker, gone, out of stock, market price, $182. Are you joking, boss? I mean, I'm gonna whip my one out here. I mean, you can see it. What is going on? This is unbelievable. I can't believe this nonsense. What? I've got my whole max rarity black deck here, and apparently this is a rarity. I've got the old Borsalino. I got the old the old Kuzan. It's absolutely nonsense. If you're interested in seeing a max rarity black deck profile, by the way, I will be making that. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see me flex for internet points, so I can feel like I haven't wasted a ton of money. Kinemon, $150. I think this is a pretty fair price. This leader is unbelievably good, very, very strong. Less good in set 3, but very, very powerful now. Probably the best deck in the game, up there, certainly. Sanji at $100, Ivankov at $100, Garp at about 80, Magellan down at 40, and Zephyr at about 80. I think these are all very reasonable prices. I think that, they've kind of priced them in generally in terms of how good they are. I think there's just a lot of hype for Black in the Western side of the game, way more than there was in Japan, and that's why we're seeing Black Black has like the Doffy effect in the West, right? Like much more hype in the West than it was in Japan, so we see these inflated prices that relative to JP in terms of how they were ranking things. But yeah, overall, these make sense. And finally, if we take a look at the Secret Rares here, Secret Kuzan, $95, and the Alt Art, $65 on the normal. But then if you look at Uta, $10 and $40 on the Alt Art. So there's a real disparity between pulling these ones, and you definitely want to be getting... Because the thing is, Secret Kuzan is just a staple. Like, you play this, it's two to three in Smoker decks, 4 in Zephyr decks in this set, and it sees play in set 3, and it's probably going to see play in set 4, so it does have that longevity, which is very, very good. Uta just doesn't really see any play at the moment. So, overall, comments on the state of the market. I do think, in terms of base rarity, if you're just picking up upgrades and stuff, you're building new decks, the prices are very, very good. If you are looking to bling out your decks, again, I think the prices are quite reasonable. When we saw just how high alt art prices got in OP1 during certain periods, this is nowhere near that. But the fact there is no availability for Black at all is a bit concerning. Again, not the state in the UK and indeed in Europe. And the reason I make these videos on TCG Player is because 70% of my audience is actually American. So I make the videos for you guys. But if you would be interested in seeing card market versions of these market watches, please do let me know. I'd be happy to do that, although of course the card market UI leaves something to be desired. Anyway, I do think that basically the really big issue is the starter decks. I'm okay with there not being that much sealed product out there. There's enough singles availability that, like, it's fine. I really just want to see Bandai prioritizing getting loads, like an excessive number of starter decks into people's hands. I would probably be picking up a few extras because, like, there's a real, I want to build multiple red decks. I want to build multiple purple decks. Like, I just don't have enough starter deck things. Like, there's still, like, people who want to play Kaido literally cannot play Kaido because there is no purple starter decks, like, anywhere. It's a real problem. But anyway, if you found this video useful, please do like it. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content. Of course, you will be getting market watches, deck profiles, and stuff like this. I've got some really exciting ones coming up from some winners of some Championship Series events, but potentially exclusives. I guess we'll see. But I do hope that you guys want to sub for those if you're interested. Of course, check out the Patreon if you're interested in advanced competitive content. Again, helps at least one of my patrons, so hopefully it can help you too. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching once again. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Cheers.